Good day and welcome to the press briefing of the Chrissy movie premiere in the Cayman Islands. We are very excited to be hosting this premiere here in Cayman. As you may or may not know, Chrissy is a very popular movie that has debuted worldwide to wonderful reviews, and so it is very exciting that the Barbados Consulate reached out to all of us, and we will be hosting its premiere this evening on the 3rd of October. With us today, we have the Honorable Minister, Tara Rivers of Education, Employment, and Gender Affairs, and we have from the Barbados Consulate, Juliette Gooding. And we also have the writer, the producer, the director, everything of this magnificent movie, Marcia Weeks. And then we also have a great supporter, Mr. Winston Hale, from the president of Lions Club Tropical Gardens. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Miriam Foster, and I'm the program coordinator of the Family Resource Center that spearheaded the Stood Up campaign that runs year-long. We were very excited to be part of this movement, as it is Bullying Awareness Month. Unfortunately, bullying is a silent epidemic that affects 1 in 3 children in the Cayman Islands. And I think it is important that we take these steps to realize that it is happening, how we can work together, and showcase special films that do teach those messages. What is especially unique about this movie is that not only is it in the Caribbean context, which is great for us because oftentimes the movies we receive are from other places that may be a little bit less relevant, but also because it touches on the fact that bullying can happen anywhere. It is not specific to schools, and that we as parents, as educators, and as employees need to be mindful of bullying and how we can make sure that it ends and that it doesn't have any place wherever we are. So with that, I do pass it on to the Honorable Minister, Tara Rivers.
Thank you very much, Miriam, and good day and good evening to you all. It is actually a real pleasure for me to be here amongst this very exciting and esteemed panel, and also to welcome Ms. Marcia Weeks to the Cayman Islands, and to say thank you to the Consulate of Barbados, Ms. Juliette Gooding, for reaching out to the Ministry of Education to encourage us to support the initiative of actually having this movie aired to the students in the Cayman Islands, in the public school system in particular. And once we had an opportunity, a team from the ministry and from the Family Resource Center and Department of Counseling Services to view the movie, it was felt that the movie would definitely be beneficial to our overall anti-bullying program that we are launching here in the Cayman Islands. And actually we're launching that program as of next week. And it's known as Owning Up and Connecting. So the timing could not have been better. From our perspective, because as you know, as Miriam did say, bullying is a situation that affects 1 in 3 persons, and that is a staggering number of students that are being affected negatively by this situation. So we at the Ministry of Education, we are committed to supporting our students and to trying to create an environment of a safer school environment, and it actually ties in very much with our strategic plan, our national strategic plan for education, which is to create safer school environments and an environment of inclusion. And in particular, the movie Chrissy, which I'm very excited to see this evening, I've just seen the clip myself, deals with helping to encourage students to overcome adverse situations, and in connection with our Owning Up and Connecting anti-bullying program, which will be launching in the primary schools as of next week. That will help to provide students with the tools to be able to recognize situations of bullying and how to appropriately deal with those situations, and to support students that they may see that are being bullied, or if they themselves are being bullied, how to deal with that effectively. So I'm actually very, very thrilled about, like I said, the prospect of viewing the movie and actually meeting the star this evening at the premiere. And I'm even more excited about the fact that our students will be able to see this movie free of cost, and very much appreciative of the efforts of the Consulate of Barbados and the producer to make this happen.
Thank you. Good morning. Well, with the minister saying good afternoon, but that tells you
to be aired for a number of times.
Tells you that the minister has a very busy schedule. Well, as a consulate to Barbados, when I first actually heard of Chrissy, I was in Jamaica on vacation. And so I got a phone call and I was told, do you know if this movie is coming out of Barbados? And I took the time to look at the reviews. And at that point, I realized this is something that is relevant to not just Barbados and Jamaica, but also to the Caribbean as a whole. And at that point, I made the effort to find out who the producer was, how to get in touch with them, and to find that movie. And the rest, as they say, is history, so here we are. And in reaching out to the Ministry of Education, I have to say that the chief officer was very supportive. And in meeting with them, we were able to show them the movie, have their approval, and ultimately from there we moved on to speaking to principals and being able to take the children from their classrooms as a field trip to see this movie beginning on Monday the 7th. In addition to Grand Cayman students seeing this movie, we are taking it to Cayman Brac. So Cayman Brac will actually see it before the Grand Cayman students. So Cayman Brac will see it tomorrow afternoon, and then the adults on the Brac will see it tomorrow night. In bringing this movie here, it has been very, very touching for me to see the amount of support from the community at large. We have, with the bus operators, they have been able to give us transportation to bring the students in. And the community has reached out, and we've been having a lot of phone calls about how the trailer has impacted people. And amazingly, we are talking to adults who will say, do you know, I remember when I was at school how this used to happen to me and how it's affected me as an adult. So we're hoping that ultimately the impact will be, you recognize that bullying is an epidemic. You recognize that each of us have some issues that we can look back on, but ultimately what we want people to get from this movie is how you deal with bullying, how you can be supportive, how you can actually empower students to stand up. And Marcia is going to tell you so much about the concept of the movie, how it came about, and where we're at with that today.
Oh, wow. Well, it's great to be here. Good morning. Is that what I need to say?
Whatever day, whatever time of day.
I guess it's different. It's different in Cayman. It's great to be here. It's my first time in Cayman, and already I'm loving the place. I'm loving the people, and I can't wait to eat the national dish, to try that. But it's really an honor to be here. Chrissy. Special movies, really very, very special to me. It's a little bit about my life. I actually was writing another film, and out of the blue, this story about this little girl started to come in my mind. And after about a couple months of it happening, I decided to set aside what I was writing and to focus on this story about this little girl. And it wasn't until I was finished writing that I realized that there was a piece of me in the film. Mm-hmm. So Chrissy was a bit like me. So it was a very, very special film. And we thought, okay, let's make it. We're going to make it. It's a sweet little film we're going to make, and then we're going to make the big film. Mm-hmm. That was the idea behind the whole thing. But audiences have just taken to the story. And wherever we've shown the movie, we premiered last November in Barbados. And it ran for 17 weeks in Barbados. Adults and children alike, people were just flocking to the cinema because adults were remembering when they were a child, and children were identifying with it. And our Ministry of Education, as they're doing in Cayman, they endorsed the film, and then we went over to Jamaica. They endorsed it as well. In Antigua, was endorsed. In fact, the Ministry of Education in Antigua, they've asked for the film be used to help to train their teachers, because without giving too much away in about the film, we do see how bullying happens not just among the children, but adults, between adults and children, and that kind of thing. So it is a very, very relevant film. From Jamaica, Antigua, we then went on to London, Birmingham, premiered at the Tribeca Cinema in New York, and all over Brooklyn. We've just been getting calls back from Brooklyn all the time, endorsed by the Brooklyn school district there, where they also bus the students in Brooklyn to see the film and had discussions with them after. So it's become a very relevant film, a film of overcoming, of triumphing, how this little 10-year-old girl triumphs over poverty, how she triumphs over discrimination, how she triumphs over bullying, and it's just inspiring everybody who's seen it.
Pleasant good morning to you all. And I must add my welcome to Miss Weeks.
Thank you so much.
These beautiful islands, and trust that you'll have a great time while being here. As a minor correction, in that the president of the Lions Club of Grand Cayman, and it is a delight and pleasure for our club to rally behind this fantastic movie. I recall the first time I was privileged to have watched, because it is in fact a privilege, the movie. There was nobody in that small group of individuals who watched it who was left with dry eye. Everybody was teary because of how deep and emotional and profound this movie is and the message it brings. Bullying has been around for as long as I can recall. And in fact, in my experience, it was a day when the big boy from the upper grade would come and seize your cricket ball and stick it in his pocket, and if he didn't get selected to play, the game would have stopped. Usually we surrender and have him play. And of course, it was a time when you had the unusual squabble and fist fights, but that didn't last. Shortly thereafter, everybody was biting off the same mango, and we were friends again. Bullying today has moved on to a new dimension, particularly in a time when we have advanced technology and there is cyberspace. It has gotten to the stage where lives have been destroyed. Young people have been affected in negative ways, emotionally, mentally. They have lost their ways, some of them, and even lives have been lost. So then, when our club, the Lions Club of Grand Cayman, was approached by the Chrissy committee to be a part of the team to organize and plan the event, we were all excited. We were delighted, especially since we have a component within our club, within the structure of our club, which deals specifically with youth outreach. So we were happy to be involved, and we really believe that Chrissy is going to have the kind of impact we heard Ms. Weeks spoke about earlier on this committee. Long after Chrissy has moved on and moved away from Cayman, we know the conversations will continue, and we would like as a club to be a part of that conversation as we proceed.
Well, I just wanted to add that, it's really very encouraging to see the number of agencies and organizations and individuals that have come together to support not just the showing of this movie, which I say the movie is going to be a real catalyst, I think, in the community with respect to dealing with the issue of bullying head on and recognizing that we all have a responsibility. I mean, as Minister of Education, we are charged with the responsibility of ensuring, like I said, that we do provide as safe a school environment as possible, but bullying extends beyond the school grounds, and whereas bullying that may happen off the school premises may have a negative impact in many instances to students while they're in school. So it is important that parents, teachers, family members, community organizations get on board with the fact that bullying is something that we just cannot tolerate. And as Mr. Hale said, the situation of bullying today seems to be that much more egregious than I ever could remember as a child growing up. And the consequences have been very dire here in our community. So it's and just hearing about the movie now, I'm even more excited to see the event this evening. But also again, just to say that I really hope that the community, parents in particular, and students, once they've had the opportunity to view the film, that they not just see it as a feature film to watch and leave once they leave the theater, but to actually see and try to recognize their peers, and if they themselves can identify with the character, do something to reach out, to say that, you know, you're not alone. As Miriam highlighted, 1 in 3 are experiencing some form of bullying. That is you know, that is basically almost 2 of us here on this panel, if you look at it in real terms. So it's not something that I think people need to be ashamed of. I think people need to speak out and learn the tools. And like, as I said, and I'm hoping Miriam can provide a bit more color to the Owning Up and Connecting anti-bullying program, which we are launching here in the Cayman Islands. And as I said, the timing for this video could not have been more perfect, because that's really a good way to kick off the reality and making it impersonal for some students that may feel, oh, you know, this is my story, but I don't want to tell it yet. But seeing it in film will hopefully help to develop those the confidence in people to have the dialogues, to bring it to the forefront, and learn the tools to be able to how to cope with it.
Yes, and actually, when Juliet approached us, the timing is not a coincidence, because I did express to her that the plans for Bullying Awareness Month, and I thought that the Chrissy movie would be a great kickoff for the month, because you watch the movie and now, like the minister said, go beyond watching the movie and take part in the various events that will be held during the month, where either by purchasing a shirt you can support the campaign. You can also be part of the Take a Stand evening conference at the Georgetown Library on the 16th of October. That's open to children ages 3 and up, educators, parents, employers as well, because of the fact that bullying does happen in the workplace. And then we are also, the Family Resource Center has the privilege of being able to facilitate the anti-bullying program that is going to be happening in the schools, Owning Up and Connecting. Owning Up and Connecting, the premise of it is that every single person has to own up to the behavior that they contribute that unfortunately perpetuates bullying. We can't just target the victim and the perpetrator. We won't affect any change that way. The only way we can affect change is until you have an empathic school culture, until everyone feels that they have a responsibility to play. Every single person has a role to play. If you stay silent, what you are saying is that you are okay with it. If you laugh, what you are saying to the victim is that you have no place here and no one will ever help you. And if as a teacher you dismiss it, then what you're saying to that victim again is that no one is here to help me. And so sometimes we don't realize that our lack of action sends very clear messages. And so it's very important that that's why this is a very active campaign about standing up and being that difference. And it's important that we realize that until everyone realizes that it's a serious problem, nothing's ever going to change. But oftentimes you hear, well, you know, as Mr. Hale said, bullying's been going on for ages. What's going to change now? And to that I say to you, you know what? Slavery went on for a long time as well, and that was the status quo, and that was what happened, and people thought nothing could change. And now we look back at slavery and we think, gosh, I cannot believe that that was a part of our history. And I hope that one day we do get to look back at bullying and be a bit ashamed at the fact that that is just a part of our history now, where we think that kids being kids, or even between siblings, how I've seen siblings treat each other, you know, and that is the place, that's their home. If any place should be safe, should be your home. And if your home is not safe and your school is not safe, what kind of life outlook do you think that that person may have? What kind of perspective will they build? And until we start to unite together and say, it's not okay. It's not just kids being kids. It's not just parents being bossy. It's not just siblings being siblings. Not just employers, you know, and that they're strict or whatever the case may be. We need to start challenging that, and we need to start standing up and saying this is not okay, especially not here in this small island where we can affect change because we are so small. And we need to be able to celebrate our differences, celebrate our uniqueness, celebrate the fact that we have over 160 countries represented here, and how wonderful is that we all get to share in that, and that we extend our embracing, our acceptance, our tolerance of one another, so that our children learn from us how to respect one another, from us how to listen, from us how to stand up and be there for each other. So we're very excited that the Family Resource Center has had the chance to be a part of this, and I'm very thrilled that Juliet reached out to us, because I think it does take other people besides government having to work together. I always talk about the importance of those partnerships between the private sector and the public sector, and until we start making those partnerships more and more happen, nothing will get done. So I'm very grateful for Juliet and her drive, and I'm very appreciative of Marcia's creativity and her passion, and stories just come to her mind. That doesn't happen to me. Public awareness campaigns come to my mind, but not stories, and Mr. Winston Hill from Lions Club of Grand Cayman. Because it's not until we work together and we all contribute our little piece of the puzzle, and start to make those changes and show that to our children, model that to our children, that it is not okay. That's the only way we can make those changes.
The scourge of bullying can be curbed or stopped. But only will that be a reality if we are able to galvanize the community and rally around all the efforts that are being made now. So the message must be sent direct and clear. 1 out of 3, as the statistics reveal, is unacceptable. And so the appeal is to this community that we must rally around the efforts, around the programs that are there, supporting them to ensure that this scourge is removed from the society.
Definitely.
And from the Consulate's perspective, we're actually very pleased to know that this program is going to be going into the primary schools and very soon. And Minister, we want to let you know that there's a fairly substantial Barbadian community here in the Cayman Islands. And I know I speak for my committee who has helped to put this together, that we are also learning as far as bullying and learning the language that we should speak and learning how to cope and how to deal with these situations. And I'm sure that if you call on us to help at any point, we are available. And they're shaking their head saying yes. I just volunteered them.
Well, thank you very much. And
they're very able. They're very able. I can tell you.
It really has to be all hands on deck.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
In this initiative, because like I said, there's only so much that the educators and we as Ministry of Education can do from within the school setting. But as we know, bullying goes much further than that in the cyberspace and everything else.
Absolutely.
So we really need to raise that level of awareness in the community. And I thank you very much for that offer. And we'll be seeing each of you at a later point.
And I will say from a personal perspective, what I have learned in becoming a part of this as well is that, as Miriam says, you take so many things for granted and you take some things as the norm and you don't always stop to say, don't do this. That's not appropriate. So we are learning the language, as I said, and so moving forward, you're going to see an improved behavior and response. But I also want to make it clear for parents that when you come to this movie with your children, have the conversation with them, because they may be experiencing things that they're not even telling you about. And part of the problem is that if you have a teacher that looks at you and say, you're always causing problems, or I don't have time for that, you're not likely to go back as a child to that person to say, I'm being bullied at school. And if your parents are doing the same thing to you, you're never going to amount to anything. You're just like your father. And all those kind of things that sometimes parents say without even thinking. So this movie is going to open up people's minds to what bullying is and how we behave, how we interact with each other. And it's all about respect. And in terms of the workplace, I always say that if it reaches a point where you are intimidated by even your coworker, if you're intimidated or you feel threatened, then you're being bullied. So I am hoping that ultimately we all learn the language of how to stop and how to stand up and to take this forward. And I'm really glad again to see it's going into the schools.
Yes, I am as well.
And Marcy?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I just want to encourage the parents to, I am not sure if they have to sign a document, a permission slip for the children to see the movie. I want to encourage parents to send out the children to the cinema to see the film. they'll be inspired, they'll be empowered, they will, be educated. I think it's a wonderful opportunity that we have. It's in a medium that they will enjoy. So it's educational, but there's also entertainment. And I really think that this is a gift to the children of the Caribbean and the world.
Thank you. Okay.
Yes, my question will go to Ms. Rivers. First of all, you mentioned the anti-bullying program or campaign, rather. Is this the first campaign that is kicking off in Cayman, anti-bullying campaign?
Well, I'll actually ask Ms. Miriam to kind of give some details, but from what I understand, there was a program that was run through the Family Resource Center previously, the Owning Up and the program. But what we at the Ministry of Education is we had looked into and gotten information about another program, which is the Connect with Kids program. And so what we've done is, in partnership with Family Resource Center, we looked at, instead of duplication of efforts, we looked at trying to merge the two programs to develop a program that we thought was appropriate for the conditions here in the Cayman Islands. So this is the new revamped anti-bullying program that will be launched in the schools.
We did used to offer 3 sessions for every year 6 that went through primary school. Basically, we had 3 sessions, but we knew that was very minimal. And when we partnered with the Ministry of Education, now we will be offering 8 sessions, as well as we have different parts that are the school's responsibility, the teacher's responsibility. So it's not just going to be a 1-hour session once a week and that's it. It's dropped. There's going to be a lot of other things that go into play, as well as the implementation of anonymous bullying drop box that will be created. Because when we had our Take a Stand Leadership Conference last May for the Stood Up campaign, 93 teenagers unfortunately said that they would never tell their parents, because they would be too ashamed about bullying, and they would never tell a school because they felt they would make things worse. And so we want students to start thinking about being able to tell, and that's different than tattling, and it's also being able to for parents to understand the shame attached to it, because unfortunately bullying does parallel an abusive relationship where there is power and control battle, and that's what you're seeing. And so that's why even on the 18th of October, we're joining the Silent Witness March, because a lot of times these victims of bullying do walk in silence. And so we will be joining that walk on the 18th, and so we encourage everyone to take part in that as well.
Sorry, just to add a bit more color to the actual program, that the like I said, the revamped program that we're launching next week. This Friday, we're having the training for. It's a pilot program that we're doing initially through 2 of the primary schools, Red Bay Primary School and the Prospect Primary School. And so we're doing the training for the senior management teams of those schools and the staff and support specialist teachers to facilitate the program, because as Miriam said, this is no longer just targeting the 1-hour isolated type program that was done previously, but we want this to be rolled out at all schools, depending on the the success and the capacity after we've done the pilot program, and that so that's an 8-week program that will be starting as of next week, and the training for that will be taking place this Friday for those persons at the schools that we're targeting as the pilot initially.
Okay, and you mentioned the high schools. You want to reach out to all the schools, but I noticed you're talking a lot about the primary school level. Why is it so important to have this film or to have these programs being reached at the primary school level?
Well, we thought with respect to the film in particular, it was important to make sure that we pitched it at an age appropriate level. And so when the committee viewed the video, they determined that some of the themes could be a bit advanced or mature for the younger ones. So we didn't want to do anything below the year 5 or year 6. And at the same time, also, we want to get them young enough that it'll make an impact on their behavior and on their patterns. So that was the impetus for trying to pitch it at the upper primary school, because by the time they're in late high school, well, a lot of times the damage is already done. So we want to get them while they're not too young that they might not appreciate the themes, but not too old that it won't make a significant impact on their behavioral patterns.
And specifically to Chrissy, some of the high school principals have actually asked if they can bring select groups from within their high school, so some of them will be seeing that as well.
Okay. Ms. Weeks, it is in a Caribbean context.
Yes.
And I love that it is because we can relate to it so much more. Was it a conscious effort to have it in a Caribbean context, or did you just say, you know what, let me see?
Well, I grew up in Jamaica. I'm Jamaican. needed to say that. Married to a Barbadian, and the film was filmed in Barbados, and we used Caribbean children. And so it is made in the Caribbean, and we really wanted it made in the Caribbean because we found with our previous films that guidance counselors, educators love the fact that the kids are hearing their accents and they're seeing places that look like where they live, and so it's really easy for them to understand the various principles that are being taught because it's in their culture. People are speaking in their idiom, etc. So it's a wonderful teaching opportunity to be able to use the culture.
And you also said that the film is a little bit about your life. You mentioned in quote, piece of you.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that in terms of you could have given this film to anyone, but you chosen to be part of it, to be the writer, producer, director.
Yeah, it's very special to
so
me. Yeah.
If you can just tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, growing up in Jamaica, I had great memories, wonderful memories, but also had some tough times at school from other students, and so there are many times I felt like Chrissy, and also from teachers who bullied me as well. So it was a wonderful experience to be able to put it down on paper and then to direct it and then to watch it on screen, and which was a little overwhelming for me, but has brought some healing to me. And just hearing adults being able to relate to what they're seeing on the screen, it kind of made me understand. Listen, you are not the only one, and so it has been a source of healing for me as well.
Okay, and about the film, how long is the film?
It's 90 minutes.
Okay. And how long did it take?
The entire thing about a year, a little over a year.
A little over the year.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm kind of going back and forth, but the importance of you guys mentioned a lot about the workplace as well. That bullying does take place there, and you mentioned grabbing the parents coming on board. Sometimes, and I can expect this, that a lot of the parents will just take the children and let them see it, but why is it important to have these parents to come along and watch this film and be a part of the conversation thereafter?
Because in order to see changes, you need to have the entire family, really. It would be great if the whole family came and was a part of this so that they can have a good conversation. I think oftentimes we're quick to just blame the education system for various things, but I think as parents we need to be taking more responsibility over our children and how we model behavior for them as well as getting them to understand the terminology, because sometimes people can be bullied and they don't know what bullying means necessarily, and until those definitions and they see those things play out perhaps in the movie, then they would start to realize, oh, I think I have been a victim, or what I'm feeling other people experience. I think Marcia spoke about that, just having that experience of me too, I've gone through it, or even taking the opportunity as parents to talk about maybe your experience or someone that you know, because oftentimes children see us as sort of infallible or not able to experience any of these negative things. They think that we're all powerful in some way. And so when you connect with your child and say, I've experienced something like this, or I know someone else that's experienced something like this, then you open up those lines of communication, which are so important that you have those, because then that way they know they can come to you about these things.
In addition, this movie carries a very profound message for all and sundry. There's a message for the bullied. There's a message for the supporter of the bully. There's also a clear message for those who sympathize with who's been bullied. So it'd be great for the parents to be there. This movie is really a must-see, and I would encourage everybody to take the opportunity to see Chrissy. One of the clear message for the bullied is that you can persevere, yes, through your adversities and through the difficulties that you face, you can be victorious.
And the movie is open to the public, so parents don't, even though the children are being taken in at special times during the day, it's open to the public, so they can make reservation with the box office at the cinema at Camana Bay, and parents can do that as a family outing.
Okay. And the character is
Michaela.
Michaela.
Yes.
Okay.
She's on her way to Cayman. They should be here in a couple of more hours.
Yeah. Tell us about choosing her, or how is it choosing her? I just need to know a little bit more, because when I'm looking at this, I'm looking as if she's the bully. Because I mean, just the character, just the way that she's perceived as the front, but she's not. We learned that she is bullied. So tell us about.
You need to see the movie.
I'm squeezing out of there. Tell us a little bit about choosing her in terms of the character.
Well, as I was writing the film, the same way it just came to my mind. This is a girl came in my mind. I run an art school in Barbados. And so as I was writing, I just kept thinking the child who would be able to play this is Michaela. Mm-hmm. And however, I still auditioned quite a number of children. And she was phenomenal. My team, we chose her because she really was very, very good. But during the rehearsals, because we do a lot of rehearsals on the set, to cut down our cost of making the film, she was not very good at all. And so I wondered if I made the right choice. But once the first day of shooting, she put on the wardrobe, did her makeup, and they did her hair and everything. And she just changed to the point her mom was on set with us the entire time, and we both thought that something was wrong with her. We kept going up to her, checking if she has a fever. And eventually she says, "Listen, I'm in character." And she's done a brilliant job.
If I can, what was the budget like for this film?
Everybody helped because of the nature of the film. When we gave the script to read to the powers that be, we got a lot of help in equipment. As to how much we've spent, it would be about 80 to 90,000 US dollars. However, we've gotten, I have to say, Mervyn Lynch Productions, who love the script, and they have tons of equipment and resources. They just gave that because, again, of the nature of the film. In the same way, Juliet and her entire team came on board and came on to make it happen, and wherever we showed the film, because of the inspirational nature of the film. Everybody helps.
Okay, and just a quick question. In terms of the film, or not just the film, but the creating of the film, have you done films like this before when you're talking about making issues specifically on poverty and bullying and race relations? This is your first film on it?
No, this is my fourth film. I have, there are three others. Hush, the Hush series. Hush 1 dealt with teenage pregnancy, where a 15-year-old girl gets pregnant and then, having to deal with her mother in the Caribbean, you know how that is. Yeah. And her, her beliefs and what to do about this pregnancy. There are lots of school systems who, they kick them out of school. And so we look at those kinds of issues in the Caribbean, and how can this girl get back on her feet and finish her exams. So we're always producing movies that will teach principles and help the generation. We have another one, Hush 2, is really a stronger, dealing with a stronger issue of sexual abuse. Mm-hmm. And because, again, it's 1 in 3 girls, and 1 in 5 boys sexually abused. And with that in Barbados, what we did when we showed it, we had retreats that were sponsored by Corporate Barbados, and we were able to take the children who, after the movie, could not leave the cinema, literally. Their school bus had to go, and we, on many occasions, had to take children home. Some of them were sitting there pregnant by their perpetrators. That's a whole nother issue that in the Caribbean, we don't like to talk about. That's why it's called hush. Having lived in the U.S., I found that it was easier to, that's where people would say, listen, I was abused, etc. In the Caribbean, we tend to keep it hush-hush, especially if it's a family member. And so we saw children who were cutting themselves. I've never seen those things in my entire life. Those retreats really, they were life-changing for me. It was the best thing I ever did in my entire life. Not even the films, not even traveling with the films, being there with those girls. And we had so many children who were affected. We ended up having 2 retreats. And at these retreats, we would pamper them. We brought in psychologists. We did all kinds of different things with them on that weekend. And when we were done, they didn't want to leave. Mm-hmm. But we created a safe place that they could talk and become friends with each other. And these were some of the same children that the guidance counselor said were giving trouble in school. Mm. When the names that we gave them became the same children that they were on probation from school, etc. So there was a root cause for their behavior. And even with the bullying situation, when you look at the perpetrator, a lot of times they have been victims too. So it's very, very deep, and we can't just look at it on a surface level. We have to look a bit deeper.
This question is for Ms. Weeks.
Yes, ma'am.
The general public, I'm sure, is curious as to if this film will come on, will be produced on DVD, and how they can get a copy of that.
Yes, the film is going to be on DVD about April 2014, because we're still touring with the film. And then they could go to our website. Or we have a Facebook page, right? So they could check the Chrissy Facebook page, and they'll be able to get information. Or the Barbados Consulate.
Could you give the address for that website?
Stepbystepfilms.com.
And it's on the bottom of all the flyers that we're giving out, so yes.
Can you just give us a brief description on the show times for the movie, and also the other activities that will be going on with the actress in the movie who will be here in Cayman?
Yes, Michaela Harrison, who is the Chrissy of the movie, she arrives this afternoon, and she's going to have a very hectic 3 days. Tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, she's off to Cayman Brac, and she will visit some of the schools, and the viewing of the film over there is at 1:30 in the afternoon, 6:30 in the evening for the adults. As of Monday, the schools are going to be busing in the students from about 9:30 in the morning till midday, and the movie is open to the public between 1:30, 3:30, and 6 p.m. I think there are 2 evenings where they're showings at 7 p.m. in the night. So again, the box office at Camana Bay has all the information, and they're encouraging people to call to make their reservations. And they also shared with me that if you buy a Super Saver pack, which is 10 people or more, you actually pay less. So that is also encouragement and motivation for families to get together with their neighbors and go together to see the movie. The book signing, Chrissy will be doing a book signing at Book Nook on Saturday morning from 11 to 1. So families can bring their children, run into the bookstore, get a book, and have it signed. But we will have some photographs of Chrissy for them to sign as well. And I keep calling her Chrissy, but you know what I mean.
And with that, we want to thank all our great guests here at the press briefing of the Chrissy premiere. We have Marcia, again, writer, director, producer, inspiration, everything for the Chrissy movie, and Juliette Gooding from the Consulate of Barbados and spearheader of this movie coming here to Cayman. And we have the Honorable Minister Tara Rivers, Education, Employment, and Gender Affairs, and Winston Hale from Lions Club of Grand Cayman, and myself, Miriam Foster, Program Coordinator of the Family Resource Center. We do encourage you this month, Bullying Awareness Month, to take part in everything that's happening. Go see the movie. It's from the 4th to the 11th of October at Regal Cinema, Camana Bay. And also take a stand on the 18th of October and be part of the Silent Witness March. Let's take action and end bullying now. Thank you.
Thank you.